Then check this out.
It actually happened. Banjo-Kazooie is going to be added as a playable fighter in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Oh, also I called it. But for real, despite hoping that it actually happened, I think my reaction, which was recorded over on Nathaniel Bandy's stream, can be summed up as utter disbelief. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, let me give you a bit of context. I first played Banjo-Kazooie a year or so after its 1998 release, and I've been a fan of the series ever since. It was actually a video of Easter eggs in Banjo-Kazooie that I made in 2016 that kicked off my current career on YouTube, so the game series is very special to me. And I've wanted to see the duo come back to prominence for a very long time, and imagine many of you probably feel the same way. I know I may be a bit late with this video, and I'm a bit sick, and I never really do this sort of thing, but let's talk about the reveal. Nearing the end of a 40-minute Nintendo Direct, after we already had the hero revealed for Smash Ultimate, a familiar set of Smash characters appeared through the screen, the classic CRT TV. I didn't realize it in the moment, but Banjo's whole reveal is framed just like King K. Rool's, but with some differences. Firstly, the collection of famous rivalries at the start has an added frame, Donkey Kong and Diddy versus King K. Rool. When we zoom out, instead of seeing a sleeping pair of apes awoken by their mortal foe, all three of them are actually sleeping when a golden Jiggy bounces across the room. At this point, I think the internet lost its collective mind. Last time, the gang ran to the window to see an ominous silhouette, just for it to be the wrong king. This time, instead of being the Baron Bird, it was Duck Hunt. This is the perfect bait and switch because amongst the many conversations people had about the duo's possible Smash inclusion, there was always that one jerk that would say, "Oh, they should just be a Duck Hunt Echo Fighter." Seeing Banjo watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! Down onto those obnoxious characters was so satisfying. Also, the three rare characters cheering for their long-lost brethren is quite fitting. More importantly though, this is the designer we're getting for Banjo-Kazooie and Smash, and it's just great. If you're not familiar with BK's history, it's important to know that after Microsoft purchased Rare back in 2002, the only Banjo game we would get in the following years was Nuts and Bolts. I've come to appreciate Nuts and Bolts in a way, but a real worry I had and many others had was that Banjo and Smash would have the design and moveset pulled from that game, and that wouldn't be fun. Luckily, Nintendo went all the way back to the very original design and reimagined it quite nicely. A lot of familiar features are still in place. A nice round nose, a big round belt buckle holding up his not tattered yellow shorts, and he has a nice smile teeth that don't invoke fear. They have however adjusted his proportions a bit. His torso and arms are a bit bigger, as are his eyes. I think these changes make Banjo a bit more cartoony, while also allowing for a bit more expressiveness. Meanwhile, Kazooie's design is largely unchanged from 1998. You know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, we of course can take a look at a bunch of their moves, and I think we'll instead focus on all the callbacks. Right out the gate, they have their good old Talon Trot, which seems to be some sort of dash attack. The 3-hit combo Banjo does seems to be 2 claw swipes, as well as a solid uppercut. Next is their Beak Barge. However, instead of remaining crouched, Kazooie's piercing peck brings Banjo sliding down onto his belly. Whee! They then quickly follow up with what seems to be a rat-a-tat-rap. But as with many of these moves, Banjo is much more in the action alongside Kazooie compared to their N64 moveset, where he tended to keep his head down. The egg firing is also in place, as is the Call of Duty Shoot-A-Man ability, Breagle Blaster from Banjo-Tooie. And one of my favorite inclusions is actually Breagle Bash, which has Banjo using Kazooie as a living club. Whole series is weird, but I love it. Of course, their ledge grab ability is here, which was actually a learnable move in Banjo-Tooie. And the only other egg ability on display is the Grenade Egg from Banjo-Tooie, though this time it can actually be picked up and thrown before it explodes. We then see the duo quickly crouch down on a shock spring pad before flying high into the air, likely the up special. Unlike the ability in the original game, this one has very little wind-up time, so it looks less like Kazooie using her stretchy legs to jump, and more like the takeoff animation of the flight pads. Either way, their double jump is the feathery flap, simple, clean, nice. Here we have one of the biggest adaptations from the original moveset, the Wonder Wing. In the original games, Kazooie covered Banjo, and he could freely run around while invincible, consuming a golden feather upon activation and every few seconds, and whenever an enemy would touch him, they would die. This time, it seems that the Wonder Wing launches the pair across the stage with a nice new, and cool golden afterimage. The invincibility is as expected. Based on the clip, it seems like the gang gets 5 golden feathers, and after using the ability, a golden feather is dropped where Banjo started. I'm assuming during a match, you'd have to then go back and pick it up if you wanted to have a full 5 charges again. We don't know how much damage it does, but this might end up being one obnoxiously spammable ability. We then get a look at Banjo running while holding a beehive, which doesn't actually show us much, aside from the fact that he's still our big lovable idiot. From here on, we get a look at Spiral Mountain, the Banjo-Kazooie stage, but we're not actually done with the moves. As we see Spiral Mountain from afar, Banjo performs an attack using Kazooie called the Beak Bayonet. Now, finally, the only other ability showcased is what I can only assume is their final smash, where they release the Jinjo-nator to bring cute, colorful, coordinated destruction upon their opponents. This is basically what happened at the end of Banjo-Kazooie, though it's way cooler this time. Oh, and of course, afterwards, the victim of the Jinjo attack, King K. Rool, goes falling down and creating a him-shaped crater that quickly is covered up by a way too high resolution boulder, all calling back to Gruntilda's original demise. There's plenty that couldn't be fit in, like the numerous transformations, solo abilities, and a bunch of egg types, but that's totally fine. I've always believed that Banjo-Kazooie's laundry list of abilities would make for a great conversion to Smash, and the team behind the game obviously agreed. All in all, I think they absolutely nailed this moveset. And when it comes to costumes, the only alternate costume that we've seen so far is one where Banjo is pink, likely referencing Mumbo the Shaman, and Kazooie's more orange, sort of like her nuts and bolts appearance. As for other costumes, I have a few I'd like to see. First and foremost, Dragon Kazooie would be awesome, as it was a secret form you could unlock in Banjo-Tooie. In Nuts and Bolts, you could wear a tuxedo, and that could make for an interesting option. You could also have a gross green Gruntilda theme, and maybe some sort of beach attire, I don't know. Now let's backtrack a bit and go take a closer look at Spiral Mountain. Once again, it seems to be based on the original N64 design, though there seems to be a distinct lack of living carrots, floating cauliflower, and rocks begging to be smashed. In one of the screenshots, you can however see some yellow buzz bombs off in the distance, and there is also an extra life floating above the chimney of Banjo's house, just like in the original game. It could be hard to tell with what little footage we got, but according to a post on the Japanese Nintendo website, the entire stage rotates underneath the fighters throughout the battle, so that you can get a nice look at the entire area, and most likely, a bunch more little Easter eggs sprinkled about. I think it's possible that Gruntilda may act as a stage hazard, or maybe just deal psychic damage by showing her face on screen. Either way, Spiral Mountain looks great, and it's made all the better with a brand new version of Spiral Mountain composed by the man, the myth, the legend, Grant Kirkhope. My voice is dying, so let's finish this soon. Seeing my favorite character get brought back and added into such a great game feels like returning home, and I, for one, cannot wait to main Banjo. At this point, we've basically covered everything, and I gotta know, what do you think of the reveal? Anything you would have done differently? Let me know in the comments below, and before I lose my voice entirely, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.